Good evening. I'm Siwapili Rose Amador Lebeau, and this is Native Voice TV. Welcome to the show. This evening we have with us Louise J. Miranda Ramirez, and she is Tribal Chairwoman of the Ohlone Costanoan-Esselen Nation. Welcome, Louise. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, and it's been quite a while since you've been here on Native Voice TV.
Several years.
And you've been working on a lot of projects, I know, since I last had you on the show. But let's start off. Tell us a little bit about your tribe, your background.
We're Ohlone Costanoan-Esselen Nation. We are the indigenous people of Monterey County.
That's where the Costanoan
Right.
word
The
comes
Ohlone comes from the United States government, but we're not Ohlone, and that's one of the things people don't understand, is the only true Ohlone are from the San Francisco Bay Area. Costanoan is the word that the Spanish gave us for costanos, which means coastal dwellers, and Esselen is what we call ourselves.
Oh, okay. And you are the chairwoman of the tribe. How long have you been chairwoman?
I was temporarily installed in 2006 and then elected in 2008 and have been there since.
And you've been active for a long time. Now, you've been doing a lot of projects. One of them is languages. Tell us about that.
Yes, I love my language. It's Esselen. I've chosen to learn the Esselen because it's believed that Esselen at one time came throughout Northern California, or at least completely through Monterey County. And it's completely different than any of the other languages. So it's.
How did you learn it? Was it passed down? How did you?
No, it was pretty much gone because we weren't allowed to speak. So what we say was sleeping. And there's a program at the University of Berkeley that's called The Breath of Life, and it's for California Indians without speakers. And so we work with the linguist and are able to use all the documents at Berkeley, do all the research and bring up all the language, and in working with the linguists, learn to understand the words, to be able to carry them forward, and how to use them to understand that some words, like a protect, you can make protector by adding a syllable onto the end, and making words into persons, and being able to translate our language, the stories back to our language.
Oh, that's wonderful. So it's been a process then in re-educating yourself with the language, and I guess putting words together that weren't or don't exist?
Right, because our language was one of the less recorded, and instead of putting words together is more of a combination. Instead of creating words, like there are words like, we didn't have a word for thank you, but in speaking with other tribes, a lot of the thank you relates to the heart feeling good. So our word is ni masia na alpisaleki, which is my heart feels good. And so that becomes the thank you word.
And I know from a lot of the powwows you have a lot of educational tools where you show, you give the history, the language, jewelry making, and can you tell us about some of that, some of the things you've displayed and why and what they are?
We use a lot of abalone, and bringing that back to the old way, the way that the people did it, instead of using the machines now. You see a lot of detail, but even in the old days, they had it detailed, and I was surprised of all they could do in taking the abalone and breaking it, and then sanding it on sandstone by hand and shaping it, and the clamshells, the olivella, and making all the circles, and it's just amazing. I still don't figure out how they've done it all, how they did it, and because they came up with such beautiful pieces, and that takes a long time.
I know when you have demonstrations, the kids just get fascinated with their projects when you let them get creative and make jewelry.
Right, we want to teach them the old way. We want to let them know that that's the way the ancestor did it a long time ago. And we sometimes feel that that's a reason, could be a reason why the ancestors aren't here, is because we're finding out that the abalone dust is poisonous. And so they didn't protect themselves. They didn't have masks. They didn't have anybody to tell that it was going to get into their lungs, and they did a lot of the work. And so we try to talk to the children and tell them, you know, you need to use a mask. You need to protect yourself. They can still make it beautifully if they, you know, take care of themselves as well. They need to know, right?
Now, your tribe was being a California tribe, was involved with building of the missions along the coast?
Right. We always tell
not by
the
choice,
stories.
of course.
No, of course, not by choice. We tell the story that the soldiers would go and get the children from the villages and take the children back to the mission. And then not long after that, the mothers would come to be with their children. And then not long after that, then the fathers would come, and they would be the servants out in the field making the adobe for the missions and becoming the slaves. I mean, because they could not leave. If they left, the soldiers would go after them. And so it was a prison to our people.
Slavery. So you work on so many projects. I know you're always involved in different things. What are you working on now?
Oh, there is so much. I mean, with the language, still trying to bring it to the people, taking a little bit of time doing pamphlets, trying to teach them each time we get together a few more words. We're going to do an abalone jewelry demonstration at the John Steinbeck Library in Salinas on April 20th. And what we do is we take in all the supplies, and anybody who comes in will leave with the necklace on behalf of Esselen Nation. And one of the biggest project I'm working on is trying to reclaim some land at Fort Ord. In 1992, when Fort Ord was, notice went out that Fort Ord was going to be closing, the chairperson at that time started writing letters and addressing and trying to put in a claim. But because it was federal land, they required that we be federally recognized. And because we've been forgotten, like so many other California tribes, through the treaties, that took a long time, and they were working with another tribe, and then there was a bunch of problems, and that didn't go through, and then the tribe itself had problems with power people, people fighting for power as usual. And when I became chair, I tried to find out about the land. We were originally promised close to 11 acres. And that land was given by the FORA, which is the Fort Ord Reuse Authority, to the city of Seaside for homes. And then in trade, they said, well, we'll give you 45 acres. And that 45 acres sat there, and then we were going to work for the cultural center to do a cultural center on that 45 acres. And then because of the split and nothing happened for a while, FORA gave half that land away to Monterey County, I think Public Works or something like that. And even though I tried and contacted Parks, contacted BLM, contacted everybody I could to find out what happened to the land, and even with Monterey Planning, we didn't get anywhere with the county. And that was back in 2007. And last year in 2012, we saw notices going out that FORA was being revisited, their plans were being revised because people were upset that not a lot was happening with the land. And so people in Monterey County, so I started attending the meetings, and I went to the meeting and I took all the paperwork and I said, we want our land. That was promised to us. And so we've been meeting with FORA and found out that that land was now given away, given to Monterey County. And was
So right now all the land has been spoken for.
right, all
so
the
to
land
speak.
that we were looking for, that within that 45 acres, was given to Monterey County Planning or Resources. And so now we had to meet with the Board of Supervisors. And so after all finding out that, one day I made 5 brochures of everything that I could. I went down there, found out they were having a meeting, went in, spoke with them. I mean, they give you 3 minutes, right?
Right.
3 minutes to talk. So, and then the clerk told me, you can't speak because you only brought 5 copies of your paper. You have to have 10 copies. And so they were on break, so I had to go to City Hall, and right across the street from City Hall was a copy place. So I went in and I made the copies, came back and gave them and told them, it's time, give us back our land, it's time. And nobody had really paid attention. And luckily, Louise, Assemblyman, heard about it and started to assist us with Sergio Sanchez and making contact for us to come in and speak to the Board of Supervisors. So he also arranged for us to speak with Sam Farr, but Sam Farr was out, so we spoke to his assistant. And the newspaper did an article. I sort of got out of sync here, but Monterey Herald did a story on me and the land. And an architect saw that story and called to volunteer. He said, I think that if you provide them with a plan, that they'll look at you more seriously. And he's volunteering. And he has a student working with him who's going to this is going to be her thesis, and she's from Rome. And they're doing a fantastic job. We've been meeting, like I said, with Sam Farr. We've met with 3 individuals. So far, we've met with Dave Potter, who is the chair of the Board of Supervisors from Monterey County, and Jane Parker, who is a supervisor for the Fort Ord area. And I know I can't say his name, Louis Calcagno. And we met with him, and this week we'll be meeting with Simone Salinas, and hoping that what we've been told, because we met with the planning department of Monterey County, that the land is available.
Now, how much land are you talking about at this point?
Well, we sort of increased it to claim 58 acres. And
how do you envision the 58 acres? What would be the ideal situation?
In working with the architect, I said, the plan have always been for a cultural center. It would always be the Esselen Cultural Center. I feel that it has to be more. And 58 acres, that's 11 acres more than we had working for. So I figured the cultural center with a museum. We want the educational center, where I've talked to you about coming down and putting a school there to help train our people and others who need that type of training to get a job. We want to do a wellness center to help our people stay healthy. And one of the things I thought about was, how are we going to pay for this? So we know that we have to find a financial backer, And in order to be able to do that, we want to put in a hotel and conference center. And that the money raised from that will go to pay for all of our buildings and everything. And the building is going, the whole, what do you call it, compound is going to be in the circle. And our building will be facing north, the cultural center, and next to it will be the educational center, and they will open up together with an archway. And people can come in there. And in the center, so then it'll go around to the wellness center, and we're going to have fields to grow our food. And then the hotel will be set up against the mountain, and so that it doesn't have to go up. In the center, we're going to have an amphitheater.
Wow.
And so we're doing everything in the traditional way. The amphitheater in the center will have a fire pit, because only California Indians dance around the fire. Okay, and so we want to make sure that that's there. But yet, within that area, we'll have enough room to do a powwow, to set up booths, to bring in culture, and as well as to have other types of programs, musical artists coming in. The other, that's going to be half the circle coming around this way. The other half of the circle is going to be left natural. And we want to plant trees. We want to plant oak trees because of the acorns for our people. We want to plant redwood trees because it's written that we did our ceremonies at the foot of the redwood trees. And then we want the elderberry trees because elderberries are medicine and the branches are clapper sticks. And so we're asking for a lot. You know, we know that, and we know that there'll be a lot to raise funds, but this is our hope.
It can be done.
Yeah, this is our hope, and by bringing in other people to give our people what they need. I mean, because it's beyond just the cultural center. It's beyond just showing who we are. It's showing who all of us are, you know, and that we exist in Monterey County, because Monterey County is a very rich county.
It is.
In some parts, but not for minorities. It's very poor because we have all the field workers, and we can help.
This would increase the richness of the culture that it lacks in Monterey County. And is this kind of the same federal concept as Alcatraz would have been, as far as the land being vacated, and then it should have reverted back to Native people?
Correct.
As
Correct.
Alcatraz should have. and it's a shame that they gave it away, but I'm glad that at least the county is now acknowledging that this should have taken place.
I think they are. I think they're looking at us seriously. Because when I talked to them, I said, you talk about economic development. I said, how much better could this be? Because this land is right up against the new Fort Ord National Park, or National Monument. And so we talk about people staying there, being able to stay and walk through the national park, you know, because otherwise there's nothing close to it right now. And so that not only will they have the national park, they'll have the culture.
Ideal. And there's really nothing like that in California.
There's not. And like I said, we don't
It'll
have
be
a
the first,
financial backer, but we have the dream, we
yeah,
have the hope. Our council is ready for it. This week, we're notifying our tribal members about what's happening, because even they don't know what we've been doing with all the meetings that I've been going, all the things I've been trying to arrange. It's just so important, and that these people understand that we're here.
And how can people help you? I mean, it's something that would be such a benefit to the community as a whole, throughout California, not just the immediate area, but, it's such an asset to the entire community.
It is, because, they could write letters. Monterey County could be inundated with letters. Who cares?
Right.
Let them get them. I had our tribal members write letters to Sam Farr. Sam Farr, there's Mike Stone, who's a new assembly person. Louise Alejo, like I said, he's been very supportive. Very, very supportive.
But that's another thing too, and Luis is a fantastic guy, so we should let him know how we appreciate his support of this project. Right. And, acknowledge that.
Correct. Letters, we've given them certificates. We think like having an event, February 25th, we're meeting again with more people to discuss. March 13th, we're again meeting with the whole Board of Supervisors. And it's so weird. We have nothing within Monterey County, and yet they've asked to meet with us on March the 13th in the Esselen room. They have a room named after us,
really?
but we don't exist. And it's just moving forward. It's letting them know, yes, we don't have financial backers at this time. But it's not because we have never been asked. We have been asked before. We've had people, we've had tribes from Florida. We've had people from Colorado. We had the Koreans ask us.
I bet you they want a casino, right?
Right. Everybody wants a casino, and we're backing off on that. We're talking economic development for our people, something that's going to spread into the whole county. And, this is going to assist us, not only the community. It's our home. It's a place for us to be together, for us to get to know each other.
Now, your tribe doesn't have powwows. You have big times?
Big times.
Explain that, the difference. Because a lot of people don't know. They only know powwows.
They still have the sacred circle, and it's still in reverse. And one of the things that I'm not real happy with California dancing is that the women stand back and just dance off to the side, and the men mostly dance. And when I've spoke to teachers, I've said, but it is written in various books, with the Esselen, the women danced. And we understand that it's because we were pushed back into the hills, so the women had a bigger part in life than some other, within the Costanoan areas. And even when I read about the history, and it says when the 1650, when the Malaspina expedition and them came in, the writings say that we had boats of pine and big boats. It didn't say we had tule boats. So it was after the Costanoans came in because of the missions, right? Because the missions brought in natives from down south as well as from different places. So there was the change, and the Esselen were forced back into the Santa Lucias, again into Arroyo Seco, all that area. And so I see the vision of our women dancing with the men, and it's sort of hard. I think there are a few California tribes more north again because they were more secluded, that the women dance. Because I've talked to some when I go for the language, and I've found out that the women do the bear dance. And we have that story written that our women did the bear dance. And so it's not easy to find a teacher who wants to come in and work with us. I personally, in my dreams, our dances have been more like the Maori and more like some of the Chumash. Okay, there are different ways of dancing with the Chumash as well. There's some that do exactly like I've seen all the California, and then I've seen some dances that are like the Maori. And so it's are we not all related?
We are,
know?
we are. And you use the clapper stick, right?
We use the clapper stick,
Right.
right? That's from the elderberry, right, correct. So we still use that, and I think there's a lot of differences and a lot of the same.
That's true. You have a great vision, and we are here to support you, and I hope our community is behind you to support you. Write letters, letters of encouragement, letters of support to the legislators, to your legislators, even if they're not in that particular district. So we do value what you're working on. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Thanks for watching us. Like us on Facebook, and we'll see you again next week. Good night.